My rueful offspring. Sorry it took me so long to drag myself home from the tournament. Mama's already asleep, huh? Yeah. She'll have plenty to say to me for being out so late. Again. Maybe tomorrow I'll just tell Mama she looks really nice. That should get me off the hook.
Hey, honey, you look really nice today.
Maybe not. By the way, I heard you crying when I left earlier. I know you wanted me to stay, buddy, but I needed to fight. I thought about bringing you with me to the tournament, but you're too young to join me yet. You're a strong boy. You've been strong since the day you were born. And lately you've been so energetic and excitable. But you're still not ready. When you're old enough, son, and if you're willing to fight, you must harness more than ardor and brute strength. You must learn to dash through the air, run like the wind, and preferably pick a character who can actually move. That is your best chance of survival in the world of competitive Blazblue. Despite my enthusiasm, despite telling myself Blazblue might be my favorite fighting game, I sometimes think I'm out of my element. I've rarely appreciated agility in fighting games. Even when I'm not playing as grapplers, my characters tend to be somewhat slow and grounded. However, I've learned that agility in fighting games is measured more than just in movement speed. Favorable frame data can turn a character who might appear sluggish and predictable into an absolute terror. Iron Tager does not appear sluggish. He is sluggish. Where other Blazblue characters flow like water and crash like the tide, Tager sits like a rock along the shore, withstanding those azure waves. Playing a character like Tager demands patience and resolve. Some matchup knowledge is also pretty important. But you don't need to play as Tager. Whomever you choose to play in a fighting game, son, you must know at least a little bit about the characters your opponents use. You don't always want to rely on instinct. If you walk into a battle without knowing what to expect, you might do what I did. Panic. It was my first Blazblue bracket match in almost 15 years. I spent my burst immediately in the first round when it would have served me better against the onslaught of my opponent's later attacks. In the second round, I started choking in the corner. When I managed to escape, all I could do was mash for specials, churning for Tager drivers, double tapping for gadget fingers, trying to approach with sledgehammers. But all that flailing only cost me the first game of the set. So I became more defensive. I utilized barriers and guard point moves to fend off attacks. But as I got into a flow and managed to fight back, I relied on old habits that I've long known to be slow and unsafe. Know this, my child. Iron Tager is a big boy with big buttons. And during these matches, I displayed an unhealthy obsession with some of the slowest in Tager's arsenal. 6A, 6C, 2C, and 2D. These normal moves all have their uses, but they aren't abusable. 6A in particular got punished twice in the second round, and though I landed a 360, I lost yet another game. Now, this would have been the end for me, but the tournament organizer decided to make each match a first to 3 because of the small player count. My opponent opened Game 3 by zoning, then jumped in to start the meat grinder back up after I'd taken enough shots to the gut. I was shaken. I wasted my burst again and died in the left corner. It was match point for my opponent, and less than 30 seconds into the round, I was already chewed up. It was time for the grappler special, the reversal 720.
Ooh, give me that throw. I got the dagger. Oh, we find the marks, finding the things. Just charge through, okay. A critical round for ConManSlam. Nice round start counters from Fake Mango.
The next round was do or die. I wasted overdrive. I got beaten into the dirt. Fake Mango was on the cusp of ending with a perfect round. But I decided, screw it. I'm going to wake up in place, start churning, and do the only things I know how.
Let me get this other one. Oh, nice pop burst, control. Let me get another throw. Pop back down. Oh, I think she was maybe trying to do a barrier. Oh my god. Oh, it's really tied up now. One more action, gets another. Yeah! ConManSlam getting a game. Tail's really tight. W Tagger moves.
Even Tager's win quote makes it clear that this was a hollow victory. Damn it. I can't move. Is this the cost of exceeding my limit? But without going to this extreme, I fear winning is just not possible. It's kind of a poor Jameson Price impression, but whatever. Ultimately, I still lost. Had I known more about Susanoo, I might have fared better. There is an easy remedy for my lack of matchup knowledge, my son. Play the game. But specifically at locals, you should ask people for casual matches before bracket begins. This is an especially good practice if you're new to a game, or if a DLC character has recently dropped, or if there's just something you've been needing to work on. Playing casuals is also a nice way to get to know other players in your area. You could make new friends, or new enemies. Just be polite to people. My second opponent in the round robin was an Arakune player who had already demolished me in casuals, so I knew playing as Tager wouldn't work. But rather than bring out Ragna or Bullet or someone else more straightforward and efficient for the fight, I chose Makoto. It was a wash. I gave up and switched back to Tager. I still got eaten alive.
Big man wants to grab, the other one wants to throw curses and other bugs. A nice little back up and doing a little attack there, nice. Better doing some things, okay.
My last match in the round robin was against an Izayoi player who is admittedly closer to my skill level. This match was much more even. I got to actually play and not just block or be juggled the whole time. However, an even match only made me rely on those slow normals again. In the middle of the fight, I told myself, hey, if they're working, I might as well keep using them. And then 2D cost me a game. And then a round. I was fooling around too much, and I was far too confident that I could use distortion drives for a comeback. See, meter gain is pretty generous in Blazblue, despite how often it resets during games. For every slash I took to the face, I was getting the power I needed to win.
Nice, power through that, big slam. Smoky kind of playing on round. Oh, he's going to play on the long game. Oh, got magnetized. First, big slam.
In the end, I got third place, out of 4 people. I feel bad, kiddo. Not because I placed third, but because you stayed up waiting for me. I should have come straight home from the tournament, buddy. I shouldn't have committed to that Blazblue League. But I was just so pumped. I wanted to keep playing. I couldn't wait to see who I would face and... Oh no. Had my opponents seen my matches at the round robin? Were they picking Hot Pink Susanoo to mock me? Perhaps they were trying to bully me or intimidate me. Maybe they didn't actually play Susanoo. Maybe I was safe. Oh no, oh no. I will not fear hot pink death. I can fight back. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of hot pink death, I will fear no evil. All my usual nonsense helped me stock a victory during the second match of the 1-5 set, but that would be the best I'd do. As we began the sixth and final game, I suddenly realized Tager had other buttons in his kit that might help me disrupt Susanoo's rushdown tactics. 5A. Mostly just 5A. I suppose the one thing I could rely on in many of these matches was that my opponents never managed to break out of my 360s or 720s, when those moves landed during recovery periods, that is. It's like none of these players know what to do when the purple exclamation marks appear. Oh, shoot. I want you to understand something, kiddo. I may have gotten kicked around for a couple hours, but even during those hopeless rounds, I was still having fun. I mean, all this is about having fun. Meeting people, and being part of a community. All that used to mean everything to me, but now I have you. All this fighting doesn't put food on the table. It doesn't maximize the time I should be spending with you. Maybe I'm overthinking things. You're still pretty young. I'll keep playing fighting games, and I'll still keep making time for my family. I can do both. Anyway, I'm surprised you're still awake after all my yapping. Your old man can be downright insufferable sometimes. Hey, how about I use this obnoxious voice of mine to read you a bedtime story? Here, let's open your favorite book. In the great green room, there was a telephone and a red balloon, and a picture of the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs, and 2 little kittens, and a pair of mittens, and a little toy house, and a young mouse, and a comb, and a brush, and a bowl full of mush, and a quiet old lady who was whispering, "Hush." Good night, room. Good night, moon. Good night, cow jumping over the moon. Good night, light and the red balloon. Good night, bears. Good night, chairs.
Hey, honey, you look really nice today.
Ah!